Hello, welcome to the Right Fit Marriage Show, your one stop for tips to help you to succeed in marriage. As is our practice, I'll just wait a little while to see who will come on to the show before we start. And once there are 2 or 3 of us, the show will start right off. While I wait, last week there was no broadcast because of the Christian Holy Week activities. How was your Easter celebrations? What did you do for Easter? That was 4 days of spending time together with your spouse. Did you and your spouse take time to have some important conversations? Did you find some time to relax in one another's company? What are some of the things that you did during the Easter weekend to make your marriage stronger? Share your responses with us in the comment box. And while I wait, I'm going to take some time to invite some people to join the show right away. Okay, I've invited some people. Fubara, welcome to the show. Olasumbo Ayodeji, thank you for joining as well. So with 2 of you here on the show, we will begin right away. This is episode 16 of the show. Today, our topic is joint accounts in marriage, part 2. Joint accounts in marriage, part 2. 2 weeks ago, on March 22, we actually looked at part 1 of joint accounts in marriage. I'll give you a quick summary of what we said in the broadcast. We said 2 weeks ago that money issues form a significant portion of the misunderstandings and disagreements that couples have in marriage. Onome Adeyemo, Ruth, Muiwa, and Iyabode, thank you very much for joining the show. So money issues, research has been carried out, and it forms a significant portion of the misunderstandings and disagreements that couples have in marriage. In part 1 as well, we also saw that it's not surprising that money disagreements come up a lot in marriage, because practically everything in today's world is denominated in money. House rent is paid, school fees is paid, hospital bills are paid, transportation costs are paid for, feeding, food has to be bought, housekeeping materials, practically clothes, practically everything that we do in today's world is denominated one way or the other in money. So it isn't surprising at all that couples, married people in particular, have misunderstanding and disagreement about money. It's not surprising at all. 2 weeks ago, in part 1 of this discussion, we also saw that some people think that the challenges that couples have about money is primarily because they either put their money together or they don't put their money together. A term that is commonly used for that is joint account. So you will have arguments, couples should have joint accounts, some will be for, some will be against. But that is a very simplistic way of looking at the matter of disagreements, money disagreements, financial crisis that couples find in marriage. In part 1, we also acknowledged that there are 3 main factors that are probably responsible, that are at the root of many of the disagreements that couples have, about money. And the first one we said is this: a husband and wife grew up in different environments. In those places where they grew up, the way money was managed is different. So when 2 of them come together, having watched money management being modeled in 2 different ways, it's not surprising at all that when they come together and try to manage money together, they will have conflict. The second factor that we also acknowledge contributes to money disagreements between couples is the fact that, human beings are unique. The way my attitude towards money, my attitude towards life, my behavior, the way I handle money, whether I'm a spender, whether I'm a saver, the way I like to earn money, whether I'm a serious person who thinks that I must have money all the time, are all very different from person to person. So when a man and a woman come together in marriage, they come along with their unique situations. And that's the second factor that contributes to the money disagreements that couples have in marriage. The third, hello Folakemi, Olufunke Samuel, thank you. Kenny Imeremba, Oluomoni, thank you all for joining the show. Thank you very much. So the third factor that we saw in part 1 of this discussion is, the okay. The third factor is that in our community in general, there are numerous beliefs about money and marriage that are not 100% correct. And people peddle them as facts. People just say them as if this thing is gospel truth. And some common ones, are, if you let your wife know how much you are earning, you will be in trouble. Or men are selfish. If you join your money with your husband, he can disappoint you later. There are lots of incomplete beliefs, beliefs that are not 100% correct, that are always discussed, whenever people sit to talk about money and marriage. Constantly, these incomplete truths are discussed, and these people accept this as true and they use it in their marriages. So there are 3 things that contribute to the misunderstanding that couples have. We said number 1, as they were growing up, is different money management models they saw. They themselves are unique people with different life experiences. And then third, the incomplete information that is usually shared about money and marriage in our community. In episode 15, that's where we looked at part 1 of these joint accounts. I suggested that every one of us should ask themselves 2 questions. I'm going to share those questions again. The first question you need to ask yourself about money and marriage is this: the beliefs you have about money and marriage, the attitude you have about money and marriage, where did you get them from? The way you handle money, the way that you think you and your spouse should be relating about money, where did you get that perspective from? I think that's a critical question that everybody must ask themselves and answer honestly. Then when you ask that question and you answer it, the second one that will follow it is, when you know where you got it from, ask yourself, the person or the persons who you got it from, where did they get that belief from? If we begin to ask ourselves these questions, and answer them honestly, we may come to discover that some of the beliefs that we hold very, very strongly, we don't even know where they come from. We have just accepted them as gospel truths and we use them. So, in part 1, we concluded that we really, really, really ought to be careful about our money beliefs and our money behaviors, the way we talk about money, the way we relate to other people about money, the way we relate in our families about money, the way we relate with our partners. We need to be careful, because sometimes the beliefs that we are holding on strongly to, we don't even know where we got it from. We also saw in that part 1 that many situations that appear to be simple money issues are not about money decisions alone. I gave an illustration of a spouse that made a money decision which he thinks is a money decision, but which has impact on his wife and on his children. So even though he's thinking, well, it's my money, I can make the decision, but when he made that decision, the decision is affecting his wife, who didn't take part in the decision. It's affecting his children, who didn't take part in the decision. So money issues, you may feel that, well, it's my money, I can make the decision, but many issues that seem to be money issues are not only money issues. Such decisions also affect your wife, they affect your children, and they affect other people who live around you. So if those decisions are going to affect other people, you cannot consider them as a purely money issue. If you were not with us in part 1, which took place on March 22, please listen to the replay of that episode. It will help you to have the correct background to the things I'm going to share with us today. And after this broadcast, I will put the link in the comments box so that you will see it and you can listen to it. Now today, we're going to go on to part 2 of the discussion, because there was not enough time to discuss everything last week. You see, in marriage, money issues and decisions, they often have far-reaching consequences. They affect intimacy and closeness between a couple. So, even though you don't talk about money, you don't talk about how you handle money with your husband, you don't talk about how you and your wife will relate together where money is concerned, whatever decisions you make about those is going to affect how open you and your spouse are to one another. It's going to affect whether you are keeping secrets from one another. Because if you don't talk about money, as you will see later on in the show, it means that there are some things that you would not be able to discuss with the person that is supposed to be the closest to you. Perhaps what a married couple needs is not a joint account or a joint budget. What they probably need is to let the I do that they said to one another on the day they got married to also include their finances. When a man and woman come together in marriage and they say I do to one another, what they are actually saying is this: I want to spend the rest of my life with you. When you say I do to a man or a woman, you are saying that in every area of your life, or rather in every area of our life together, we will be open and we will be honest with one another. That's what intimacy is really about. Marriage is about sharing life together. Money just happens to be one aspect of that life that you're sharing together. I'm going to say one thing before I continue. Many people have had bad experiences, no doubt. But if we continue to focus only on the bad experiences, two things happen. One, the people who are just starting out, they will not know the right way to go, both men and women. And so, things will continue to fall apart. For those who are already in marriage, who are experiencing difficulties, if we don't talk about the right things to do, they won't have a model to walk towards. So this evening, the things I'm sharing, I'm totally aware that this is not the situation in many marriages. But I'm hoping that by the time we get to the end of the show, even those who are not experiencing this in their marriages will begin to desire to do so. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Money just happens to be one aspect of the life that you and your partner have said you want to share together. So when you say I do, and that I do does not, if that I do, if it includes your finances, what does it mean? If the I do you said to one another, if it includes your finances, what exactly does it mean? It means that you and your spouse, you want to chase your dreams together. It means you want to pool your resources to make those dreams to come true. Of course, it's unlikely that both of you will be earning exactly the same amount of money. One spouse may earn more and the other may earn a lower amount. But once you decide and say I do to one another, what you are in effect saying is this: what I have, what belongs to me also belongs to you. What belongs to you also belongs to me. Whatever it is that we are looking ahead to do in our lives, we are going to do it together. That's what you mean when you actually say I do to one another. Part of the reason why many people never make progress to experience that is because they don't understand some of the things I'm going to share with you today. If you're just joining us, this is the Right Fit Marriage Show, your one-stop for tips to help you to succeed in marriage. As I go along, please ask questions about anything that I'm saying, and if you also have contributions, please don't hesitate to put it in the comments box so that you will also be participating in the discussion and I will read it out. So, when you say I do to one another, you are in effect saying we have become one. There is no difference between me and you. What belongs to you belongs to me. Another thing that saying I do to one another means is that I'm going to be accountable to you and you are going to be accountable to me. I'm going to be accountable to you and you are going to be accountable to me. That's a very challenging step for many people. Quick, you are welcome. Becoming voluntarily accountable to somebody else, especially about money, is a very, very tough step for many of us to take. Being accountable, this is what it means. It means being open to your partner. It means agreeing that sometimes what you want may not be what is best for your family, and you may have to surrender it. Being accountable doesn't mean that your spouse is controlling you. It doesn't mean that you are letting your spouse walk all over you. Being accountable simply means allowing what is best for your marriage and family to be the criteria for making decisions. So what this means is that when you and your spouse are looking at your money together and you are deciding what will be spent, what will be priority, the criteria that the two of you will use is what is best for our family at this time. That really is what it means to be accountable. And so when you step down your own desire or your request, it's not because your partner is cheating you. It's really because you are looking at things together and you want the best for your family. Now, remember I said that a man and a woman who come together in marriage, they come from a background of experiencing different money management systems. They come from a background where they had different experiences, different exposures. They have been exposed to many kinds of sayings about money, So it is natural that when they come together, it's going to take them some time before they will begin to agree that this is what is best for their family. So if one person comes from a background that is thinking private school is what is good, and if the other person comes from a background, where they're thinking public school is just as good as private school, it's not surprising that they will have an argument that will go like this: how can we be wasting money sending children to private school? When that spouse is making that statement, they are not criticizing their partner. They're just demonstrating that they came from a different background from their partner. So the conflict, the difficulty that you have, especially in the early years of marriage, to agree on the criteria of what is best for your family, is not because either of you is a bad person. Is more because you have come from different backgrounds. You have come from different exposures. But once you understand that you are a team and you are not attacking one another, you can actually sit down and discuss these matters and come to a reasonable agreement that you are going to use. So the second thing that saying I do to one another means is that you are going to be accountable to one another. The third thing that saying I do and letting that I do include your finances mean is this: you are going to avoid the awkwardness of what you should let your spouse know and what you shouldn't, what you shouldn't let them know, what you should keep from them. One of the greatest dangers of not being open about money is that you will have to be thinking, should I let her know this? Maybe I shouldn't tell him this. And for somebody who you want to have an intimate relationship with, how can you keep portions of your life separate? So you talk to your husband or your wife about everything else, but you don't talk to them about money. What many people don't realize about finances is that when you say my money is my own, I'm the one who earned it, you are right. You are very right. There is absolute truth in that statement. But if your money is your own, and what you earn is known only to you, and what you spend is known only to you, what you save is known only to you, when you have that degree of separation, of standing apart from the person you married, how will trust be created between you? Because there is this big part of your life that your partner does not know about. And the funny thing about money is that you cannot hide it. So if you refuse to tell me how much you are earning, once I see the things you are spending money on, I will know how much money you have. So if you tell me I don't earn so much money, but I see you doing things that demonstrate that you have a lot of money, it will diminish my trust. It will diminish my trust in you. Welcome, Bisi and Joshua. Welcome to the show. So for me, that's perhaps the biggest danger, that keeping your money to yourself. That's the danger it has. Yes, it is your money, but over a period of time, it will mean that there is a part of your life that your partner does not know about. Now, when there are parts of your life that your partner does not know about, is it possible for you and that partner to actually experience intimacy? Is it possible for you to experience any degree of closeness? You know, one thing will be leading to another. Once you have an area where there is a wall, that wall will extend to other areas. In most areas of your life, you and your partner, you came into marriage with different expectations. I've said that before and I will say it again. The reason you came into marriage with different expectations is just because your life before marriage has been different. You were brought up by different parents. You went to different schools. You have been exposed to different things. It's not surprising that you think differently about many issues. It's going to take time. Now, finance is one of those things that you have different expectations about. So rather than say, let us not talk about money, let each person take care of their own money, perhaps the real thing that couples need to do is to initiate honest conversation about money. Thank you all for listening to me. I invite you again, the comment box is open. I'm looking forward to hear your views on some of these things I'm sharing. Do you agree with me about the things I'm sharing? Or do you have a different opinion? Or do you have an experience that helps us to better understand this matter that we are talking about? Please share in the comment box with me. You see, the thing that couples really need to wake up to is that they need to initiate honest conversation with one another about money. Talking about money in our culture is not easy. In our culture, we don't talk about money. We don't talk about difficult things. I'm sure for many of us, if you look back to when you were with your parents, you are not likely to remember seeing your father and mother sitting down and saying, let's talk about money. Maybe you had them quarrel about money, but that they actually sat down and said, let's talk about money. For many of us, that was not our experience. And even as we have been growing up, amongst our siblings, you hardly find people talking about money. Except the family is organizing an event and it's time to allocate one levy or the other. Maybe there is a wedding ceremony, or there is a funeral ceremony, or there is a birthday that we want to mark for our parents, or somebody is ill in the hospital and we have a family meeting, and they will say the amount of money we need to have is this. So Dupe, you will bring this amount of money. Today you will bring this amount of money. Ada, you will bring this amount of money. That is probably the only time that even with our siblings we discuss money. You also don't find friends talking about money too much, because either you don't want your friend to know that you don't have so much money, or you don't want your friend to know that you have money so that they won't be making requests of you. So even amongst our friends, even amongst our colleagues, we don't talk about money. And that's what makes it difficult for us to talk about money even with our spouses. Money means different things for each of us. If you and your spouse, if you are going to be intimate, if you are going to be really close, you will have to talk about money. I'm going to share with you, a couple of questions that I suggest that you should use to initiate money discussions with your spouse. The first of them is this: what does money mean to you? When you think about money, what kind of thoughts come to your mind? You see, for some people, money means security. As long as they have a reasonable amount of money, they feel okay. They're ready to face the world. But if they don't have what they consider to be a reasonable amount of money in their bag, they will be tense, irritable, afraid. For such people, money is equal to security. For some other people, money is a means of control. They think that if somebody has more money than them, that person will be determining what they ought to do. So they think, I must have my own money so that nobody can boss me around. And there are different meanings that people have for money. So for you, yes, quick, exactly, managing money as a couple tends to affect other vital, intimate areas in the relationship. Once you have built a wall in one area of your relationship with your spouse, it will be difficult to keep the door open in other areas because you will be too busy maintaining that wall to allow openness in other areas. So the first question you want to think about when you want to initiate honest conversation is, what does money mean to you? Another question you may want to consider is this: when should you and your spouse, when should you discuss money? When should you discuss money issues? Is it every day? Is it every week? Is it once in a month? Is it once in a quarter? What exactly do you even want to discuss about money? That's something that you've also got to really think about, and answer honestly. It may take you some time to arrive at an answer, but whatever time you spend is very well worth it. The third question is this: how will you and your spouse, how will you make financial decisions? Hello, Edith, welcome to the show. A third question you should think about when you want to initiate money conversations with your partner, with your husband or wife is this: how will you and your spouse, how will you make financial decisions? Many people never think deliberately about that. And yet, on a daily basis in marriage, you and your spouse, you have to make financial decisions together. So if you don't discuss it, it will mean that every time you have to make a money decision, both of you will now be trying to, let your own way of making the decision be the one that you will use. It's not surprising then that there is conflict. When a husband and wife have not talked together about how they're going to be making financial decisions, every time they want to make money decisions, there will be misunderstanding. The fourth question, question number 4, is this: what are our long-term goals? Long-term goals for a couple will usually involve money. Educating your children is going to involve money. Building a home of your own is going to involve money. Investing for your future, what you are going to be spending when you are no longer able to earn, it involves money. So you and your spouse, you need to talk about your long-term goals and agree them together. If you don't discuss and agree them together, it's almost certain that you people will have misunderstanding about money because you are going in different directions. Some other questions that you also want to ask are this: how do you feel about debt? How do you feel about debt? Owing somebody money, borrowing to do something. What mistakes have you made about money matters? What causes you stress when it comes to money? Some people, if they know that a bill is due and they don't have the money, they will have hypertension. They will not be able to sleep. So, what are the things that stress you out when it comes to money? And then the big one is the last one. How did you talk about money in your home when you were growing up? Did you even talk about money at all? Or everybody just assumed, things just got done without anybody talking to one another about money? Knowing or recalling how money issues were handled in the home that you grew up in is the best gift that you can give to yourself. It will help you to understand why you think about money the way you currently do. When you look at these 8 questions, they're simple questions, but they're difficult to approach. And the reason they're difficult to approach is what I said earlier. We don't talk about money. Money conversations are not just things that we are comfortable about. But we have also seen that for a husband and wife, they cannot afford the luxury of not talking to one another about money. What I will encourage you to do is first take some time to think through these questions. That's even before you go and discuss them with your husband, you think about them yourself. And don't just answer them in your head. Don't answer them mentally. Take a notebook. Write your responses down. Fortunately, the replay of this broadcast will be available immediately after the show. So listen to it again. Look at the questions. Think about them. Answer them honestly. Write your questions down. Write your answers down. When you start trying to answer these questions, you are going to discover a lot about yourself. You're going to discover many things that you didn't know about yourself. You're going to discover why you react to your spouse on money issues the way that you do. The good thing also is that when you begin to understand this, it will also help you to begin to understand why your spouse responds to you the way they do where money is concerned. When you have answered these questions by yourself, take it a step further. Now, I always say that, when you want to talk to your spouse about matters like this, when you want to ask them these kind of questions, it's not the kind of way that policemen interrogate suspects. So, oh yeah, come. Mommy Mo has said we should discuss these matters. No, that's not the way to do it. What I suggest is this. When you and your spouse, when you are having a moment of fun and maybe you are relaxing, maybe your husband is having his head on your laps or your wife is having her head on your laps, you can introduce the discussion, with a statement like, there's some things I've been thinking about too. I've asked myself some questions and this is what I found out. It will be interesting to know how you will respond to these questions. So that's the kind of intro that you will give. And you may have to do that intro about 3 or 4 times on different occasions before you get a response. But don't be discouraged. When they respond, then you can invite them to take the conversation further. And maybe they too should look at the questions and write down their own answers too, as you have done. I guarantee you, if you and your spouse, if you take these questions, if you think about them, if you answer them honestly, you have gone further than 75% of married people. Because you have explored the things that form the foundation of your attitude and beliefs about money. Talking like this on a regular basis with your spouse will make it easier for you to approach money issues in your relationship. It will make it easier for you to be united when you want to take money decisions, because you would already have agreed on a lot of things. That is what it really means to say I do, and to let that I do include your finances. I've talked about a lot of tough issues today, and our time is really fast spent. I hope that you have found this a really interesting topic. And I'm sure that you know a number of other people who you think ought to also know these things. If that is the case, please share. Please share this broadcast with other people. Share with your friends. Share this broadcast with them, and also tell them that every Thursday at 7 p.m., the Right Fit Marriage Show takes place, where you get tips that will help you to succeed in your marriage. Thank you everyone for joining me once again. Olubumi, welcome. You're just coming in. You'll listen to the replay. Kuyik, Edith, Joshua, BC, Folakemi, Olufunke, Kenny, Ruth, Oluomoni, Onome, Muiwa, Fubara, Iyabo, and Olasumbo. Thank you all for joining the show today. To end today's show, here is the marriage quote. You know, at the end of every show, we usually have a marriage quote. This is today's marriage quote. Money is an opportunity to reach unity in marriage. When couples work together, they can do anything. I'll take the quote again. Money is an opportunity to reach unity in marriage. When couples work together, they can do anything. So in your marriage, is money going to be an opportunity for you and your spouse to reach unity? Or is money going to be the source of discord in your marriage? I assure you, listen to this broadcast all over again, the replay, walk through those questions, and you will be on your way to making use of the opportunity that money gives you to reach unity in your marriage. The person who made that quote is Dave Ramsey, financial broadcaster and businessman who has worked with a lot of couples. With that, we come to the end of today's show. Next week at the same time, the Right Fit Marriage Show will be here. Thursday, 7 p.m. Be here with me for tips to help you to succeed in your marriage. It's bye for now.